Chapter 1940, Six Elves. Jeang E saw arrogance on the elf's face, but that arrogance came from his absolute self-confidence. It was as if everything he said was the truth of the world. No wonder the elves are the most arrogant in the legend. It turns out that there really was a similar race in ancient times. Jeang E raised the corner of his mouth and said lightly, "I have heard many people talk to me like this in my life. But do you know what their ending was in the end?" The elf raised his eyebrows. "They all died miserably." "Oh, sorry." Jeang E suddenly pretended to cover his mouth and smiled apologetically. "I forgot that you had died a long time ago." The elf frowned. Arrogant. He raised his hand and pulled out the long sword at his waist. In an instant, the world behind he changed. Dark clouds gathered in the sky, lightning flashed, and strong winds fell from the sky to the ground, forming more than a dozen huge tornadoes. Wind, thunder, what else? Just one move, Jeang E measured the opponent's ability and value in his heart. The elf said nothing, but raised the long sword in his hand in an extremely elegant way and swung it at him from a distance, like a conductor waving a baton. The next moment, the storm gathered behind him, and three huge mountains appeared between heaven and earth, dark and dense, which were terrifying storms gathering. Each storm could easily cover the urban area of a city, and silver lightning ran in the storm like huge silver snakes. In an instant, the elves controlled the three huge thunderclouds and rolled towards
Jeang E.
Everything happened in an instant. When Jeang E saw them, they were not far away from Jeang E. Attack is difficult to work on him. No matter what your storm is, what your thunder is, I can break it with a dimensional gate. Sanlua Wanxiang protected Jeang E's body, and three huge storms like mountains came in an instant, trapping Jeang E in it. The powerful storm created a low-pressure area and then approached. But the moment they touched the dimensional gate, they were absorbed by Jeang E. The roar stopped, and Jeang E's dimensional gate was intact, without any damage. After all, this is the ability that is called the strongest defense in the human world. Unless the energy level of the attack is increased to more than 2,000 points higher than Jeang E, it will not even be qualified to make the dimensional gate tremble. As for the complete destruction, so far, except for a few special ability users of the trait system, only the underground civilization tyrants who completely crushed Jeang E with absolute strength. The dimensional gate swallowed the elf's attack, and Jeang E frowned slightly. "That's it." The elf smiled, and the ghosts watching also looked unimpressed. "The attack just now was just a test. If you can't even take this level of attack, I will leave the battlefield. Because you are too weak, you are not qualified for me to attack. Now, let's make the game a little more interesting." The elf twisted his wrist while speaking, and a silver wristband was taken off by him and thrown to the ground. Jeang E paid attention to the position of the wristband and was secretly careful. It might be some kind of powerful weapon. He didn't think the other party would make meaningless moves. So, what about the next attack? The elf raised his sword. The tip of the sword pointed directly at Jeang E's face. An elegant smile appeared on his face. A ray of silver light emerged from his body, and he looked as noble as a god. But when the sword pointed at Jeang E, a fierce and murderous aura approached in an instant. Boom! The sword light was like flying from the sky, so dazzling, so compelling. Jeang E did not dodge, but waited quietly in place. "Not bad. You can even block this move," the elf said lightly. However, Jeang E sneered. "You seem to be very confident in your moves?" "Of course, after all, that is my attack." "In that case," Jeang E waved his hand, "I will return all the power of your sword to you." From the dimensional gate, a silver light suddenly appeared, and the roar of thunder resounded in all directions. The elf's sword and three huge cloud storms were released by Jeang E from the dimensional gate. It only needs to change its vector direction to make it attack the elf's body. Seeing this scene, the elf's original action was instantly stopped. The corners of his mouth rose, which was the reaction of meeting an interesting prey. "You really surprised me." He held the sword in one hand and stood there elegantly, without any intention of dodging. If Jeang E did not dodge, he would certainly not retreat, not to mention that it was his own attack. He was confident that he could block it. And silver light burst out from his body, as if he was standing in a pure white moon. The moon formed his defense, and his attack also reached the front. The storm and the sword light hit the bright moon at the same time. Even the elf himself frowned slightly when he endured this attack. He wanted to show off, but he was only cool for 3 seconds, and he was pushed backwards by the powerful force. Swish! His feet plowed 2 deep grooves on the ground, and the elf spent a lot of effort to remove this powerful force. But he did not show any displeasure on his face, but laughed. It's me as expected. This power is really terrifying. Jeang E couldn't help but roll his eyes. How could this man be so narcissistic? Even Liu Karen said, although this guy has a very charming face, I don't know why, I really want to punch him in the face. The others beside him also nodded, expressing their deep agreement. You are very interesting. It seems that I need to use more powerful power to play with you. While the elf was talking, he took off the wristband on his right hand. Jeang E narrowed his eyes. What's the deep meaning of his action? The first wristband he took off was thrown on the ground casually, and he didn't see any special effect. If it was something like a powerful energy bomb, the position was not good. But he knew that the elf must have a meaning for doing this. If he ignored this point, he would definitely suffer a great loss. Chapter 1947 Time Stands Still. While Jeang E was thinking, the elf sheathed his long sword. He reached behind him, and suddenly a green light appeared behind him. The elf actually took out a huge emerald green longbow from his back. The longbow was made of green branches, and there were even dense leaves and flowers on it. It didn't look like a weapon for killing, but rather an elegant decoration. The elf faced Jeang E, opened his slender arms, and pulled the beautiful longbow. The air made a sharp hissing sound, as if something was metal, and it was like a bird flying across the sky. An invisible arrow appeared on his longbow, and he could only vaguely feel the existence of the arrow through the changes in light and shadow. Sharp. Jeang E felt the power of these 2 words. Pointed at by the elf with time's second hand. Jeang E directly activated his prediction ability. In the predicted future, he deliberately did not dodge this attack, but chose to block it head-on. The invisible arrow flew out of his hand in an instant and turned into a phantom light. The moment it left the string, it came directly in front of Jeang E at an incredible speed. The speed was so fast that Jeang E could not react at all. It was light. The fleeting light and shadows were extremely fast and penetrated his dimensional door without any hindrance. Dozens of dimensional doors were intact and were simply traversed by it. Unlike the light and shadow formed by Deng Shintong's supernatural power, this is a higher-level ability. Light has no mass and thickness. It can even cross the gap of the dimension and shoot at Jeang E. Jeang E's reaction speed was fast enough for him to raise the magic knife in his hand to resist, but the hasty knife could not exert all its power, and the magic knife was directly knocked away. Then, a sky full of light spots exploded in front of his eyes. Like fireworks exploding, a light arrow without any thickness turned into a sky full of phantom light in a little space in front of his eyes. Countless light particles shot into his eyes and every corner of his body, passing through the barrier between his cells. The power of radiation destroyed his smallest structure. He became a sieve, with tiny cracks all over his body that were difficult to detect, and then blood smudged from the surface of his skin. Plop. His nerves lost control of his body and he knelt directly on the ground. Then his body collapsed like a mollusk and red, yellow, green and white liquids surged out of his skin. Jeang E came to his senses and was shocked. The power of this ability was beyond his imagination. No wonder the elf man can be in the core position among these dead souls. Only the dead souls after death have such powerful power. A way to block this attack. The next moment, the world was still. The minute hand of time in an instant accelerated itself to the speed of light, making itself still relative to the entire material world. This move also has another name, infinite acceleration of itself. Only in this state can he see the beam of light. Then he crossed the beam of light and came to the front of the elf man. Approaching him, one can still see the arrogant and confident smile on the elf man's face. His posture is elegant, containing unparalleled power, as if he can control everything. But at this moment, in an instant, Jeang E can decide his victory or defeat. The right hand of the demon armor was a demon glove made of various fine scales. It directly pinched the elf's slender neck and then twisted it hard. Crack. The timeline was restored. In the eyes of other dead souls, they saw an incredible and strange thing. They did not see any movement of Jeang E, and they came directly to the elf from a few kilometers away as if they were teleporting, and then slowly walked behind him. The next moment, the elf's head fell off his neck. Until the moment of death, the corners of his mouth still had that arrogant smile. This, what happened? Odibio pointed to the battlefield, and his voice was hoarse because he was too shocked. Others had no way to answer his question because they all opened their mouths, their eyes full of disbelief. Looking at the dead souls, the elves who were also top in strength were killed by the human boy, without any signs. The key is that they did not see this process. It was as if they had directly turned to the answer when doing the questions, and they had no idea what the process was. Everything was too weird. Even these powerful people who were once extremely glorious in a certain era were surprised. At this time, the old man with white beard stroked his beard, looked at Jeang E with fear, and said slowly, "He stopped time." What? What? Everyone shouted in shock at the same time. They had only heard of the ability of stopping time in legends. It is said that only those terrifying beings who can reach the realm close to the gods, such as the Druk clan and the top powerhouses in the ancient god-level civilization, can have access to this realm. But today they actually saw such a person with their own eyes. But the strength of this young man does not seem to be that strong. But soon, their eyes looking at Jeang E all changed and became extremely hot. Because it is precisely because Jeang E's strength has not reached that terrifying level that he has mastered the ability to stop time, which just shows how terrifying his potential is. If he becomes stronger, to what extent will his ability reach? This is beyond their imagination. Perhaps he can really complete the seal of Mammon and save everyone. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.